Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I think we are ready to get started. It's 10:32, so I apologize for the little slight late start. As you all know, I'm Dana Moore. I am the co-chair of the Local Control Advisory Board. I see my co-chair here, Miss Ashia Parker. She and I have been collaborating, sort of outside of the meetings to make sure that today's meeting goes smoothly. What I'd like to do is just a little bit of a variation, do more of a roll call than as opposed to having people pass over introductions. And then I will ask Ashia if she has any comments that she wants to make, and then we're going to rock and roll with the content. So obviously I'm here. Ashia Parker is here. I see Jim Shea. Um, I know that Natasha Mayhew is on. Is Trey Murphy on? City Solicitor Jim Shea, yes. Delegate Stephanie Smith. Andy Smullian. Senator Corey McCray. City Council President Nick Mosby.
Yes, I'm on, Madam CEO.
Fantastic, welcome. Chief Lisa Walden.
Good morning.
Great. Kaylin Young. Bob Cherry with the FOP. Is Bob Cherry on?
Yep. Good morning, Dan. I'm here.
Great.
Thanks.
Welcome. Yep. Director Shante Jackson. Ray Kelly. Calling again for Trey Murphy. Lisa Robinson, Vanguard Justice. Lydia Walther Rodriguez, I believe, is not able to join today. Is that right, Ashia?
Yeah, she cannot join.
Do we have Tyler Sally on? And Mark Washington.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Let me go back to my first page. Senator Corey McCray. We'll just ask him to announce himself. Well, all right. Trey Murphy. Delegate Stephanie Smith. Andy Smullian. Kaylin Young, I see. Shante Jackson. Lisa Robinson. Tyler Sally.
Madam Chair, this is Natasha. I am here. Good morning. And I will note that both Senator McCray and Delegate Smith are on the floor. The House and Senate are currently on the floor, so they are unlikely to attend today.
Okay. Understood. We're glad you're here. We know a lot's going on. So hand it over to Co-Chair Parker if she has any comments.
Good morning, everyone. I really don't have any comments. It's good to see everybody. Many of you should have gotten some suggestions for our committee structures. So I'm looking forward to start our committee work and to get back on track now that session is winding down. So I pray that everybody has a good meeting, good weekend, and all those good things if we don't speak again.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to pop it over to Natasha Mayhew, one, because we are in the waning days of session. She's here now, and I have learned in the last 6-8 weeks, grab her while she's here. Natasha, is there any update that you want to share with us? Any welcoming comments? I know you've been working to get the models of local control, that committee work more organized. Anything to add or share with the group?
Yeah, thank you. We are in the final days with Sine Die being this Monday, April 11th. So it has been very busy. And so I do thank everyone with their patience as we didn't have a couple of weeks with meetings, but there's was only so much bandwidth to deal with everything going on with session and to hold work group meetings at the same time, and which also speaks to our members from the House and Senate being unable to join for the Fridays. But I do look forward to continuing this in earnest once session is over, and we have been working with a law enforcement group that we are just waiting to confirm the dates by which they will be able to present to us in the very near future, as we have a couple of meetings scheduled for the next couple of weeks where they will be able to present on the various models of local control. And I think that would be a very fruitful discussion for everybody and help tremendously with moving this effort along.
Agreed. Thank you for that. We look forward to that. Also wanted to make one calendar correction. We had noticed a meeting for next Friday, April 15, not thinking, realizing that the city of Baltimore will be closed next Friday. And we will add a meeting for April 29. And then after that, we can decide whether or not we should try to do some evening meetings. We will have had a number of Friday morning meetings, but please go ahead and release April 15 at 10:30. We will not be meeting on that date. Please add April 29 at 10:30, and then we'll see where we go from there. So committees, each of you should have gotten an email from either me or Co-Chair Parker asking you to consider serving on specifically one committee. We feel everyone should be on the committee that looks at models of local control. One, because we think we want your input. We think you would be interested in it, and it didn't. We were not really able to say who should be on that committee and who shouldn't. But I just wanted to, let's talk about the suggestion. Is there anyone that has not gotten that email asking you to serve on one of the committees? If you would just go off mute and let us know so we can make a correction there. Okay, hearing none. When we looked at the mission of the local control, here's kind of where we landed, and Co-Chair Parker, correct me. The mission included looking at how local control would impact implementation of the consent decree. And y'all remember the consent decree monitor, Ken Thompson, came and talked with us about that. And the deliverable was that local control does not have an impact on the implementation of the consent decree. So we put a check by that, and we don't need a committee to do that work. We are also obligated to look at the financial impacts of local control. And you're reminded of Bob Seneme, who's the city's budget director, coming and talking about, his view that there is no negative impact on the city's budget by that would be imposed by the local control process. And we are asked to look at the potential liability issues of local control. And City Solicitor Jim Shea and Chief Lisa Walden came and talked with us about that. And it was determined that there would be no negative impact that arises from the city of Baltimore taking control or having local control of its police department. So those three really big chunky things are taken care of, and we're ready to move forward. So what's not taken care of is the different models of local control. That's coming, and that's what Natasha Mayhew has talked about. We have made connection with 3 people who can come and are willing to come and talk to us about the different models of local control. We're still trying to get those dates, hope that will happen soon. But those persons are Major Neil Franklin, Deputy Secretary Wendell France, Sr., and Major Mike Hilliard. So we're looking forward to having those presentations. Co-Chair Parker and I felt strongly that we didn't want to have a committee, an exclusive committee set up to receive that information and to do that work. We feel everyone should be part of it, and so you are. We move on to management of the Baltimore Police Department and the transfer of personnel. We have not populated a committee to do that work, and here's why. A lot of that discussion really depends on the different model of local control that's landed on, and we're not there yet. We're going to get there. We're going to get there fairly quickly, but we're not there yet. And so having a panel, a committee dedicated to that work at this moment doesn't seem a critical need. But we also felt pretty strongly that that's work that really we need subject matter experts for that. And we think that that's BPD, the staff of Baltimore Police Department. So Andy Smullian, we would be looking to you and Commissioner Harrison to guide that work when the time comes. We also felt that the Office of the Labor Commissioner would be important because of the union aspects that could arise, the union concerns. We also feel that the city's Department of Human Resources and the Law Department would be collectively the subject matter experts that would need to lead us in that work. So that is why there's not yet a committee devoted to that work, but that will happen. Any comments, questions, Shia, anything that you want to add at this point before we go into talking about the charter process and community outreach?
No, I don't.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. So let's talk about the charter process. And then we'll talk about the community outreach. So basically what we did is look at the list of members of the Local Control Advisory Board and try to think who would really be great at leading the effort to decide on the charter amendment, what it should look like, what it should say, how it should be written, who would be the lead in terms of drafting, really wordsmithing that, and then leading us through the process of getting that on, before the city council and onto a ballot. So for that group, we suggested Senator Cory McCray, Natasha Mayhew, me, Nick Mosby, Ray Murphy, City Solicitor Jim Shea, Delegate Stephanie Smith, Andy Smullian, Chief Lisa Walden, Kaylin Young, and Bob Cherry. I heard back from just a few of you saying, oh yeah, that's perfect, I'll do that. Keep in mind, these are suggestions. They're not mandates. Really want people to want to do the work. So for everyone that we've reached out to, if you would just get back to Co-Chair Parker and me and let us know that you're willing to serve on that committee. And then we'll start the cadence of committee meetings and deliverables. I did hear from Bob Cherry, he said yes, and Jim Shea said yes, and Andy Smullian has agreed, and I believe Kaylin Young has agreed. Yes, he's got a thumbs up. So anyone else have given it some thought, have any comments, questions, thoughts, discussion? Just please take yourself off mute. Okay.
Sorry, Chair, Woman Moore. I was trying to get off. I was trying to find the screen, but yes, I am happy to serve. I did see the email yesterday, and I'm definitely happy to serve on the committee.
Great, thank you. Not to put you on the spot, but I hope you saw the footnote in the email that I sent you, Trey.
Yeah, about the second committee, and it it is part of also what I'm weighing. I had some questions just around the time commitment for that one, so I was prepared to say yes to one, but I think that I'm a yes pending a conversation. Of course, not you with Shea. I think Shea, you stated that you're going to be leading that group, so I'm a yes just pending the conversation that it doesn't get too chaotic with my schedule.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Anyone else? Comments, questions?
Good morning, Chair.
Okay.
Where goes the solicitor, so go I. So I'm happy to help out as well.
Super. I love that. Thank you very much. All right, anyone else?
Madam Chair, I'm also happy to serve on the committee I've suggested to serve on.
Great, thank you. Wonderful. All right. All right, we've got a good group there. All right, let me hand it over to Co-Chair Parker. Talk about community outreach.
All right. So the community outreach piece, where in our group, we will weigh should we, I guess we would get advice from the city to make sure that we're, giving the right message, but should we and can we do in-person meetings? Once we find out if we can do in-person meetings, we'll decide on where they will be. We're looking to have them in each quadrant across the city. We also want to work on infographics, social media sharing, those kind of things. We are also working with the city. We know that our committee does not have a budget, so we are working to see how we can share resources that the city may have so we can have those things. Co-Chair Moore, the memo, everyone received that memo, correct? No? Okay. So you will get a memo from us that is detailing what we're looking to do. But the gist of it is that we will have a campaign that will give the education piece, why it's important to vote on this, what does yes or no mean, just about ballot initiatives in general. Ray Kelly will know in the community on the ground, a lot of times folks still do not understand what a ballot initiative is, how it's used, why it's there. So that will be our committee's job to make sure that what we're working on is easily translatable to the community and that we're making sure our initiative is successful at the end of the year, by the end of the year.
Right, thank you. We also talked about really just, educating the community about why it's important that the city of Baltimore have local control of the police department. And since we last met, my office has acquired, I think, 10 licenses, 10 Zoom licenses. So if the decision is that the community meetings need to be virtual, we have capacity, I believe, to host up to 500 people on a Zoom call. So we would certainly offer that tool, which is tremendous. Some platforms only allow 100, and we could do up to 500, unlimited amount of time. We could do it as with a lot of different features, but that, we need guidance on whether we can do in person. We are going to need, and Co-Chair Parker's right. So far as I know, there is no budget for this work, but we need people to be note takers, to record what the community says it wants, to make sure that any questions that get asked get noted and that there's follow-up. If we're going to do in person, I haven't been to too many community meetings where there's not some form of beverage or refreshment, so we would need that. we would need locations, like where would we meet? Who would be willing to host us? And then we would need staff to set up those meetings. You know, there's a lot of good that comes from in-person meetings. Whether we're ready to do that, I don't have the answer. But you know, it's an important question. So, Shia, do you want to talk about who we've reached out to be on or to serve on the Community Outreach and Engagement Process Committee?
Yes. So let me pull up my list. I apologize, everyone. The Cisco platform is murder on my
Oh.
computer.
Do you want me to do that?
I'll pull it up.
Okay.
Yeah, so my computer's just moving a little slow. I apologize. Okay, so that committee will be myself, Director Jackson, Ray Kelly, Trey Murphy, if he obliges, Lisa Robinson, Lydia Walter Rodriguez, Tala Sally, and Mark Washington. So I did hear back from most of the people that I reached out to. But again, if your name was called on a list and we have not communicated, just reach out whenever you can.
Okay. If there's anyone that's on the call that's ready to say yes now, that would be great. In terms of the community outreach, and I just have a footnote on the community outreach. That's a committee that it might be that there's some members of the charter committee that feel like they would rather do the community outreach, which is fine. We have a number of elected officials on the charter committee, and you know, when they're able to, they might be moved over to community outreach. We'll wait and see. Totally their preference. So any sort of throw it open for discussion, any ideas on how to carry out the community outreach? Are there parts of the city that someone thinks we should go first? Just any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll just add that out of those that are in attendance today, they all have accepted. So.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Great. One of the things that I think that I have a question on is the dates for getting the ballot questions on the ballot. I know that the primary date has changed, and I don't know whether that affects our ballot questions. Any answers on that?
Madam Chair, I don't think that'll affect the ballot date. The ballot questions all go on the general election ballot, not the primary. So as long as the general election isn't changed, we should be good. It's just a matter of getting it through the council by the specific date, which I can't recall what it was, but it likely is sometime in early August or late July. That can be verified by the president's office and or the law department.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do, thank you for that. And we'll get those dates, recirculate them. And then we'll be working backwards from those dates to get the charter amendment. My view is that we can start with community outreach now, even though we don't have the language of the charter amendment. We know that we are going to change the charter. We know that we're going to be seeking local control. We know that it's something that we need to hear from the community because they're the deciders, not us. We're moving the issue forward, but we need everyone to be aware and prepared to vote on this. So that's both of these committees have work that starts like now. No need to wait.
Madam Chair? This is
Yes.
Natasha. I do want to confirm the date by which the law department must submit the information to the Board of Elections is August 5th for the November ballot. So that's the submission date. So we need to keep that in mind that everything has to occur, be finalized before that date.
Okay. Right. Thank you. So we really have May, June, and July to do this work. In my world, I would love to have us. I'd love to see us have everything ready to send to the law department by July. And I think we've talked about this, definitely a date. I would say July 8th. So that we can, anything that needs to be resolved, redone, reworked, we can do that. So that's the internal deadline. Okay, great. I know that we've been going just about half an hour, and we always schedule an hour and a half. Anyone have any questions, comments, concerns that we should discuss before we end the call?
Madam Chair, just a few
Yes.
things to note. First, I think budget week is sometime in early July as well. So, or late June. So keeping that in mind for the council bandwidth. Also, I think that the charter amendment is going to be really impacted by which model that we determine. I do think we could come up with we could probably have Department of Legislative Reference get us a couple of drafts of, depending on what models we might be looking at, you know, so we can have various options before we even get to the final determination. But I just think that as it pertains to that committee's work, that's going to be kind of a major key. Yeah, that's it.
I agree. I think, for starters, we need to alert the Department of Legislative Reference that we're coming and that we need their help. And that we're going to be relying on them to do the drafting, with lots of good input. It's critical that we get those presentations from the three folks who've said that they were happy to present to us, and have those meetings so that we can decide as a body which direction we wish to go in, what's going to work best for Baltimore. So stay tuned, and obviously it's best to have those meetings at one of our scheduled meetings, but if we have to have a special call meeting, I think that we should be prepared to do that. We've been waiting a bit to have those presentations. So good points, Mr. Young. Other comments?
Hey, Dana, just real quick before we wrap up. So I see you got Neil Franklin, Pete France, Mike Hillard. All three of them are former BPD and Maryland residents. Do you and Aisha and the mayor, have you guys, I know you guys talked about St. Louis as a model for local control. Is there anyone outside of Baltimore City and or the state of Maryland that would be willing to speak to our group to talk about local control and how it affected them when they transitioned?
That's a good question. I had hoped that we would have someone from St. Louis, and I think from one of the Texas jurisdictions, and we can redouble our efforts to get those guests to come and talk with us. I think it's important. So we will.
I'll reach out to a couple of people that I know and then suggest it to you and the co-chair and then bring up to the committee. And I realize, like Kaylin said, time is the essence here, because if we're going to work on the language, we really got to figure out what model we're going to use. So now that I'm kind of back from the shoulder surgery, I'll work on reaching out to a couple of people and seeing if they'd be willing to speak to, to our group.
Right. And forgive me for not, acknowledging that you're back from shoulder surgery. It's good to see you. Good to see that you're well. functioning. I know that you and I talked before you went out, and you said you'd never taken a day of sick leave. So this was new for you in a lot of ways, and just really glad to see that you're well. So thank you for that reminder and the offer. It's accepted. Yes. And I know that there are folks on this call that feel very passionately about the different models, and if we could pull on you for help to bring information to this group, we would really appreciate it. Don't be shy. Just call me, call Ashia, call Natasha, and let us know who you want to hear from, and we'll make it happen. You call me today, I'll start making calls today for whomever you suggest we reach out to, because we've got obviously April 22nd and April 29th, and those are really good dates to invite people to come and talk with us and tell us about their experience, because that's going to guide us. All right. All right, no one's got their hand raised. Anything else for the good of the order? Natasha, Ashia. I did want to recognize Adam Abadir is on. Saw him. Welcome. Okay, hearing nothing, we will reach out between now and April 22nd. You will definitely hear from us. It would be great if the persons on the committee could have a separate meeting, decide if you want to have a chair or co-chair of the committee, and get started. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a really good weekend.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Everyone have a good weekend and go O's.
Yeah, definitely. Go O's.
All right. Take care.